A beacon of justice or a system flourishing with fraud and flaws.
The United States is essentially a legitimate, government.
This is prisoner Mumia Abu Jamal.
Revolution means change. It means total change.
Seen as a political prisoner all over the world, an honorary citizen in over 20 cities, with a street named after him in France, on death row in the U.S. for almost 30 years. The event that changed the life of Mumia Abu Jamal forever took place at this intersection in Philadelphia almost 3 decades ago, back in 1981, when a police officer was shot and killed. Mumia himself was wounded and had to spend the night at a hospital. A prostitute and a cab driver testified against him. Hundreds of thousands of supporters, including Mumia himself, maintain his innocence to this day.
Tell Mumia Abu Jamal's released.
Mumia was charged with first-degree murder in a case many say was fabricated and fraught with racism.
The prostitute, none of the other witnesses ever saw her there. And then with the cab driver, when you look at the police crime scene photos, you don't see his cab anywhere. If they remove the cab, that's tampering. He should get a new trial.
Dragging on for years, Mumia's struggle for freedom has been shedding light on flaws of the U.S. justice system.
15 of the police officers involved in collecting evidence in Mumia's trial were later charged with corruption and tampering with evidence to obtain a conviction. 15 of the 33.
A former journalist and Black Panther organizer, Mumia's work is translated into several languages and distributed all over the world.
His analysis is a revolutionary analysis, that this system is rotten to its core, that it's racist, classist, sexist, evil, and that it is the leader of an imperialist domination of the world. Do they want people to hear that?
Meanwhile, the U.S. government denies holding political prisoners.
Ain't no power like the power of the people.
Countless human rights activists from all over the planet have dubbed Mumia the voice of the voiceless.
It's overdue that we release him from death row. He's an innocent man.
His trial was a joke. It was like a circus. The man needs a new trial.
Mumia's work monitored by the FBI since he was 14 years old. To some, he has become one of many fallen victim to a police state.
It's not a question of whether or not he's on the death penalty. It's not even a question of guilt or innocence. It's a question of the United States, through its apparatuses of the FBI and other state, federal, local agencies, targeting, surveilling, attacking political activists, movement people, and targeting them for their political work.
Lynn Washington is a journalist closely watching the case since Mumia's trials kicked off in the 80s.
And his case embodies so much of what's wrong with the court system. That's why people have gravitated to this case and made it a symbol for their outrage about the dichotomy between what America says it is as a country founded on justice and one that perpetuates injustice, and in this case, extraordinarily over almost a 30-year period.
Already having gone through countless appeals, the case is still expected to drag on for years.
Free Mumia right now!
It's so tragic that here, after almost 30 years, we're not talking about a new trial. We're not talking about all the evidence that has come forth, the racism of Judge Sabo, the original judge, all of the many things that should have freed Mumia a long, long time ago.
The U.S. is a record-holding country of jails overflowing with prisoners, including thousands on death row who are overwhelmingly African-American.
Today, there are over 2 million prisoners in the United States. That's the size of San Francisco.
You know you represent colonial power. I was not aware of that.
And while those in power continue to keep their eyes shut to the flaws, the system is bound to remain the same, with the rest of the world watching. Anastasia Churkina, RT, Philadelphia.